Maybe we'll get another time. We'll have to do a game 4. But it looks like our runners are off and running, as both our runners finding and going with Flashman first.
What a coinky dink. So we got Mega and Proto Man just like I said, Flashman should be one of the more simpler stages. Well, it's as simple depending if you got enemies like those blockies and moles in the way.
As long as the blockies aren't Buster immune, it's just fine. If they are, you might have to reset. Unfortunately, it was filled with blockies like I've seen before, but our runners pretty much, I don't want to say they're in sync, but they're in sync going through this Flashman stage.
So I guess the big question right now is, are they going to go for the E-Tank? You can possibly skip the E-Tank and just risk it all on what could be an easy Robot Master, but for the safety, I'm pretty sure. Well,
never mind.
Never mind then.
Never mind about that. Ain't nobody got time for E-Tanks.
Well, in some cases, the meds just pretty much shut the door on that option, so.
Alright, so let's find out who our first Robot Master to seed is, and it's a Crashman. Now, one interesting thing, and it's not a very jumpy crash, is you'll see the roof for this stage, and you'll see it for Woodman. The roof is taken off because you can have jumpy boys, really high jumpy boys. Oh, Dagger taking a death to Crashman. Charlieboy getting out of there. Crashman and Quickman tend to want to jump very high, and you'll end up seeing them zip or zip up to the top and appear at the bottom. Generally, that's just to make sure that they come back down after they jump.
Well, actually, the main reason for the roof being on top is that Robot Masters actually get stuck on the ceilings and literally never come down, making situations where you probably will be stuck with the Buster if you have it first and have no weapons that reach vertically. Then you get stuck and you pretty much have no way of completing the seed, since you can't kill a upward bound enemy with nothing that can shoot up.
Now, this is pretty bad for Daggett, as he found Crashman second with no items, and there are Lactivians in that first screen. So, get those resident sleepers in chat. He's going to be there for a while.
Charlieboy luckily finding a much literally quicker stage in Quickman. Going through the forest beams should have very little issue with them, and we're going to be seeing who's in Quickman's boss room very shortly. But yeah, you can see on Dagger's end, the Lactivians just literally slow these areas to a crawl. And of course, since it's zipless, you're pretty much required to go through these areas. This is, once again, one of the reasons why you wish to have at least either item 1 or item 2 to make these areas as fast moving as possible.
Or have a shield one-shot the Lactivian tadpoles. Now, granted, with the 3 frogs on the screen, you want to at least keep one of the tadpoles, because as long as there's one, the rest of the Lactivians won't fire out another tadpole. Like right there, as Daggett does have only one left on the screen, and because of that, none of the other frogs are going to fire out more tadpoles.
Not ignoring Charlieboy, he did find a bunch of weak Flash in Quickman's room, taking them out literally in a flash, not getting any items, but he's going straight to Metal Man, where we pretty much got a mechanical forest, all the wildlife stuck in the factory here, and the wildlife wins. Charlieboy getting knocked into the pit by a rabbit.
Are you sure this isn't Dr. Robotnik's lab?
You guess as good as mine.
I mean, he does put the forest critters in robots.
But yeah, we once again we see the consequence of going to Crashman early with no items. No item 3 makes this climb a very long and slow one. That is just unfortunately just eating time And it's all not his fault. It's just a fortunate luck of just finding Crashman in these settings, which once again for the 2020 tournament, all of the stage names are hidden, so we don't know which stage is where.
Now we find an interesting enemy here in Metal Man's stage right there early going with that Fat Fiend. So Charlieboy is going to have that in the back of his mind as he approaches the big jump coming up.
We find Dagit taking on Metal. Not a particularly Buster Week Metal, but he's gonna take him in stride. And as you suspected, SB, there was the Fan Fiend just waiting to pluck him out in the air, right over that big jump in Metal Man stage. Charlieboy, being wise to how the enemy set was, decides to pause buffer and makes it there safely.
Yep. Ooh, and we got some Cossack music as we go through the, well, we'll call it the Baja Falls of Bone Man stage.
We find Airman in Metal Man's room. Actually, in this fight, it's very interesting. Depending on how the Airman fight goes, the thing about Airman is that the conveyors actually take priority over the wind that the air shooters blow. So as you see, Airman was actually blowing to the right. You can still actually move along the conveyor belts to the left and not be blown in the very slightest. So if you got enough room when Airman jumps to the other side of Metal Man's room, you can actually negate the wind blowing and just take pot shots from there. But Charlieboy still dispatches Airman and follows suit, going to Airman's stage and gets popped by a Skyfall.
Oof, that's rough. That is absolutely rough. He doesn't have any items either after 3 stages, and I think those Joes are rather beefy, taking more than 3 shots. Yep, those are beefy Joes.
Charlieboy just literally pixel hopping, taking that last bit of pixel on the air tiki just to make sure that last frog is available so he doesn't fire another one while he's making these very perilous jumps. Meanwhile, Dagit just a few steps away, going to Bubble Man's room. We're about to see who's up, and we got Heatman in there, so we got a little sense of a boiling area underwater here. And a slow boil at that.
Okay, looks like the sleep shield's gonna do the job, because it definitely was not going to be that buster.
Whenever you find a soft weakness, you definitely take advantage of it.
Especially against Heatman, especially against this room. Otherwise, you're better off taking another nap.
And we still haven't found any items yet. And we, at this point, I think we only have about a good 3 stages left.
I think it's 4, counting Airman stage here, which is what Charlieboy is going through. But yeah, we're running out of stages, and we don't know where any items are.
Yeah, but yeah, we already seen Bubble Man on Dagit's end. So the only stages here left are wood, heat, and this one in air. I think we're gonna have our 3 items last in this stretch.
Well, we find Quickman in Airman's room, and he's weak. Buster, this will be a quick fight for Charlieboy. Dagit not learning his lessons when it comes to the frogs, and sadly takes the game over. Let's see what item Charlie gets from Airman, and it's vanilla item 2.
Dagit opted to get out of Airman stage, probably hoping that item 2 would be elsewhere. Unfortunately for him, as we just learned, item 2 is in its vanilla spot. So the hope that Dag will find item 2 to make Airman stage easier, and by conjunction maybe Heatman if he decides to go there, he's gonna be in for a rude awakening.
I imagine at this point we're doing Yoku's again, as I might as well believe at this point that our item 1's gonna be in it, also in its vanilla spot. But we don't know that yet, because we're also still missing item 3, so we'll find out in due course. But we do have Charlieboy going through another one of our stages that we had yet to see to this point in Woodman stage. which should have one of our remaining items in it. So we'll find out when Charlieboy finishes this stage which item is being held.
Charlieboy dispatching our hot dogs very quickly with the leaf shield. About to make one more screen before we get to the top of the treehouse, where we're gonna see if our enemies are gonna be interesting or not so much.
Interesting enough so far in this seed, Charlieboy has been going to that leaf shield a lot, as it's been putting in a lot of work to get through some of these sections in these stages. And sometimes in the randomizer, you find one item that's doing the job for you, you kind of stick with it.
We find that our favorite space monkeys were in their vanilla area, but not necessarily vanilla coated, as they fly off into space rather than hanging along the ledges like they usually do.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at this slow crawl flashman trying to get somewhere and just making no progress.
Using item 2 to quickly navigate the final stretches of Woodman stage. And as I suspected, Dagger's going to Heatman, probably hoping that item 2 might be here, fearing that Airman would just be really hard to go through. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case.
Yeah. By default, now that I see Bubbleman in Woodman's room, we can conclude that Woodman is going to end up being in Heatman's room here. And there's our item 1 in Woodman's stage, so item 3 is here in Heatman.
Not the item you really want to see here. You'll probably, at the very least, you probably will want to see item 1 if you don't see item 2 here. So, just another unfortunate luck of the draw for Dagit, as literally the worst possible item placement is in this stage.
Yeah, so... But the upside is that item 1, even though we know item 2 is going to be in Airman stage, for Dagit, finding that item 1 when he gets to Woodman stage is actually pretty good. We can use that to help keep ourselves above the tadpoles that get spawned from the Lagphibians.
So I think right now, and especially thanks to that unfortunate game over, Charlieboy has definitely got himself a pretty good advantage over Dagit, but we still got quite a bit of race to go. As we saw in the first race, even by the time Dagit was definitely closing the gap, and he definitely had a chance to win when Wally Ford caught up to Charlieboy. So there is a lot of things that could still happen, but Dagit at his rate might be running low on the timer here.
Yeah, I'm just going to remind Dagit not to watch the VOD bad. He's going to get very sick if he sees it. Because after that, I was getting sick watching that, because it was rough having to commentate and see exactly what happened. And there's our Woodman in Heatman's room, and we are probably going to have to take an heat tank for this fight. Or take a death.
That false start leaf shield just causing a little bit of issues on Dagit's end. Gonna just suck up to death and try again. And Charlieboy following suit, dealing with this false start acceleration leaf shield. Not opted to check for weapons, since it was definitely not a buster susceptible. Well, a buster secondary weak would, but as long as they get the kill, the end justifies the means.
Yeah, Woodman is definitely one of those enemies, even though we may search for weapons here and there for it. He's definitely one of those enemies we kind of just default to the buster and shoot inside the leaf shield to take down just to save on time.
Dagger is going to the mechanical forest factory that is Metal Man stage. And taking the same death that Charlieboy did, just not necessarily jumping and just taking a hit from the Robin and just falling to his doom. Charlieboy making good use of that item 1 that he got some time ago, is gonna make this area much faster. Once again, it's just the luck of the selection that winds up just putting Dagit far behind, as he had no weapons no items by this point. So Charlieboy is just making immense amount of time just simply using the item ones on his own, even with the heavy lag that these lag amphibians are causing.
Yeah, let's put that going faster in quotes because of the lag amphibians. But outside of that, the item 1 definitely helps get through that section much faster. As Dagit is now in the second section of Metal Man stage. Now, Charlieboy, being the savvy veteran runner that he is, had noticed the Fat Fiend in the first section. Let's see if Dagit follows suit and remembers the fact that there are Fat Fiends in the section and Paul's buffers his way over the gap here. Yep, that's a veteran instinct right there.
Charlieboy going up the left side of the crash climb, taking the long way around. Could have probably used his item 3 to climb along the right side, but just want to make sure that there are no enemies in the way so he can have his climb as clean and free as possible.
I mean, it's an interesting choice considering the fact that he has all the items, so either way he makes the climb. He's going to take on Metal Man in Crash Room as Dagit deals with Airman on the belt. And he takes down his boss. Charlieboy about to take down their boss. Might have to pop an E-Tank though. Yep, there we go. So, there we go. Dagit going back to Airman stage as Charlieboy is about to finish off this Metal Man. And with that, Charlieboy has one more Robot Master stage to go through, and that is Google Man.
Dagit taking note of the frog that sent him to his doom, but was unable to notice the second frog that was just waiting in the wings, and he's the one that's being the champion and knocks down Dagit's Mega Man down to his terrible, terrible death.
Yeah, it's like, all right. So you know what you. It's like, okay. So it's like you know what your enemy set is, and you're not thinking about the next enemy that's going to spawn. It's like, all right, I'm behind here. I need to keep moving forward, and you're just not thinking about what your next move should be. And you're kind of rushing it instead of taking your time when you need to.
Honestly, I think it's the other way around. You know what your enemy set can potentially be, but you're not sure if that enemy is actually going to be the next one. Not necessarily that you don't know, it's that you got it in your mind and you want to prepare. And even sometimes when you do prepare, it just still blindsides you. And when it does, you still get situations like what Dagit experienced in this stage.
Well, he's in the second section now. As I don't remember the full set. I think it was Shotman and Batantan, if I'm not mistaken. Telly. So either way, relatively friendly set for the second section of Airman stage, as Charlieboy is about to greet Heat Man in Bubble Man's room.
Meanwhile, the friendliest guys are actually not as friendly as we anticipated, as we see Sky Crabs in the area, and the Tellys are actually Buster immune. So Dagit's just, once again, just walking precariously, making sure he's not in a position where he can just get sniped by any one of them, and just not want to fall yet again, because right now this area is just making Dagit his woman.
Meanwhile, Charlieboy does take down Heat Man rather quickly, and we're once again greeted with the eyebrows.
Anyway, as we get rated by SpeedGaming 2 with a party of 62, y'all are just in time for one of our favorite and bestest games in the entire world. Everyone, the Mega Dragon has the color randomization. You know what to do. time to guess the color of that dragon. And of course, as always, for extra credit, let's guess that weakness as well. Siberian Bull, you're up.
Alright, in honor of our good tracker here, and I might be stealing from you too, let's go with a true blue of a blue dragon that's weak to Buster.
Okay. Then I'm gonna use one of my trademark picks. Gonna always some kind of monochrome dragon with mostly shades of either grays, whites, or blacks. But this time we're gonna have Metal Blade as our weak.
I say Barbie Dragon, weak to Leaf Shield.
Charlieboy utilizing that slow rising item 1 to get himself a little higher. No enemies along this area. This area could have been a bit of a pain with enemies that could block the area like Jomex, Rabbit, Shrimp, but relatively clean, so no issues there as we're about to see our Mecha Dragon in person and in living color. I would say that is mostly a green dragon, which gates everything I stand for.
Yeah, it's like a seafoam green. Well, we're doing our weakness hunt. It's not Crash, how about Metal? Well, you got the weakness this time.
Huzzah!
Not a particularly good meta. It looks like it's a one-shot, but it doesn't drain any weapon energy from what I saw. Yes, and for those joining us for the first time, the Mega Man 2 Randomizer tournament this year is a zipless tournament, so our runners will not do any zips for this tournament. If they do a zip, they will accrue a penalty.
So we got Charlieboy going to Wally 2. Dagit taking on Bubble and Woodman stage, hoping to try to get to the Wally stages as quickly as possible.
Dagit is definitely feeling behind, but he does find a great weakness in that Metal Blade to take down Bubbleman, so he'll be moving on to Wily stages in a moment here. Charlieboy is now at the halfway point of Wily 2.
Designed to tank the blockies. Those things deal quite a bit of damage, and we only got one E-tank. Not taking the time to destroy the walls could wind up biting Charlieboy in the back if the Pico units wind up being pretty trolly as far as weapon weaknesses.
Yeah. Usually if I see a blocky, the one weapon I like using against them is Crash Bomber, because at least mainly because of the explosion, they'll at least have that give us that extra height of possibly damaging it. And in that section, if the blocky gets destroyed, it gets damaged but doesn't get destroyed, its head will zip and it'll give you the space to get through. But Charlieboy is in the Pico room right now, and he finds that air shooter to be a 1-to-1 with the block, so this would be a very quick fight for him.
He'll have no more air energy after this, but we got a lot of large weapon drops in the beginning of Wily 3. Pretty sure he's gonna just take those and refill air that way. So Charlieboy out of Wily 2, going to Wily 3. Hopefully nothing trolly that would be along the way. So Wily 3 in general is not that much of a stage, but depending on specific enemies that could be placed in the area, this stage can be much more dangerous than it seems. But let's see what happens, and it's definitely going to be right here in the water section where all the spikes are.
Alright, meanwhile Dagit is approaching the dragon here in a moment, and got a bit of a seafood buffet in the sewer section of Wily 3.
Surprisingly, that's actually one of the tamer ones. Even with the falling crabs, there are surprisingly much worse.
Alright, so Dagit about to take on the dragon. He is on Buster at the moment, so he's probably going to do a bit of hunting when he goes to take on the dragon here. Well, it's not Buster this time, but he switches to Metal, and he'll find out that does the job.
Charlieboy just now going into the gate where we're gonna see our Guts tank. And it's not Buster Week, so time to dig for those weaknesses. It's not air, but we got ourselves the bubble weaknesses. Pretty good arc on that bubble, so yeah, pretty much takes him out pretty handily. So we got Wally 4 waiting in the wings. Wally 4 was the stage where Charlieboy had one notable slip up. We're gonna see if the same thing could happen, and maybe, just maybe, once again give Dagit another chance to try to catch back up.
Yeah, Bubble is actually one of those good weaknesses we like to see against the Dust Tank, and for no other reason than it's mashable, and generally just want to take the tank down as quickly as possible.
We didn't get to say this in the first match, but the thing about Wally 4 is that this screen and the next screen that Charlieboy is in, the fake platforms are randomized, so you have no idea where the fake floors are. But if you have items, just as Charlieboy has perfectly displayed for us, you can just skip it and not even worry about it. Of course, that still takes into account proper item management, so you can have the items to even ignore all that stuff.
And looks like might be a pretty tame anxiety rooms, as we saw one Hermit Crab in the first screen. Let's see what the third screen looks like.
Dagit making his funnel way towards the Pico units, and yep, Wally 4 is pretty much a rest stop, and more of a rest stop than a set of anxiety rooms. Pretty much just one shellfish per area, so really simple to deal with.
Yeah, real simple. That's why I had to hold my breath for a moment, just in case the third room decided to be the trouble room, which it usually is. But either way, Charlieboy makes it through the anxiety rooms, and he's going to be taking on the Boo Beans in just a moment.
Got the metal locked on and ready to rock. Dagit finding air shooter just as Charlieboy did, is going to be one-shotting all the Pico units, and he's on his way to Wally 3. Meanwhile, Charlieboy is doing the weakness shuffle. Our god weaknesses not working. He could try, well, we know one of the weaknesses is not one of the better wall weaknesses.
It's not one of the better wall weaknesses at all. We don't like to see this as a weakness.
Yeah, Bubble is one of the more awkward weaknesses to find to destroy the walls. It's very hard to tell if it hits. It's something about the bubble that makes it hard to hit walls, period. Meanwhile, we got ourselves a vanilla weakness with the crash bombs, and we got a quick firing crash bombs. One of the randomization properties of the crash bombs is that even if you fire a bomb, normally you would not be able to fire another bomb until it detonates. In this case, you can still fire. Ooh, Dagit taking the uncharacteristic death in the spike drop. But continuing about the crash bombs, one of the randomizations of the crash bombs is that you can actually fire another bomb while a bomb is still active. However, you still need to be warned to take note. You still cannot pause into the menu screen while the crash bomb is still out. So while you can fire the crash bomb rapidly, if you want to get out of the crash bomb, you still gotta wait for the explosion in order to make the next switch.
Alright, Charlieboy taking down Heatman as the first of his free fights, as we continue to move through our 7 other free fights, as we listen to Bionic Commando as our refight theme this time.
Pretty sure this is Legendary Wings.
I get the two mixed up. It sounded Bionic Commando, but I had a feeling it was Legendary Wings. That's why I got you to correct me.
Dagit navigating the spike drop a little more cleanly this time, making the necessary turns, and he's going to be on his way to his Guts tank very shortly. But at this point, just some unfortunate stage selections thanks to the lack of stage names. Finding Crashman second, not getting the items as soon as possible. and a couple of game overs just unfortunately just spelled doom for Dagit in this particular race, while everything is just pretty much coming up all Charlieboy as he's on his sixth robot master. I mean,
yeah, we're past halfway point in 3 fights here, as we got Woodman on the screen who is going to get busted down relatively quick there. 2 more to go. Dagit moving on to Wily 4 now.
So as always, we're just wondering and lying in wait to see what the Wily Machine is going to do. If it's going to be that elusive Buster immunity, which actually we had quite a number of them, which is kind of surprising for early in this tournament.
Yeah, it's surprising, especially since another one of our co-commentators, Rico, generally didn't believe it had happened until he actually calmed like 4 seeds so far in this tournament. But here we are with the machine. We're going to do our guessing game, and we don't have to guess too much.
Gas, shock, and awe.
Gotta be careful here, Charlie.
Dagit taking a dip in the spikes on his end. The randomized fake floor being a little bit earlier than Dagit anticipated. Meanwhile, once again, is Charlieboy's lack of E-Tanks just causing him a little bit of a stumbling block. But it should be no longer an issue. Once again, it's a Buster weak Wily Machine. All you really do is just gotta spam him to death. So yeah, no issues on Charlieboy's end following that death.
Alright, so here we are on Victory Road once again. About to approach the alien real quick as we are coming to the end of this match. I want to thank SpeedGaming for hosting us, and I want to thank everyone for coming out for this race, and we hope to see you again tomorrow, where Dagit's going to take on RSVC at 3 p.m. So come back again tomorrow.
To answer in the chat as Charlieboy is about to face an alien, the first race was about to be really close. Charlieboy died at the spikes, but Dagit, being right on his heels, wound up making a similar mistake, and not only died to spikes, but made extra mistakes which extended Charlieboy's lead. So what was close at the first race wound up just come crashing down for Dagit in an unfortunate end. Meanwhile, the weakness hunt for the alien still continues, and it's not heat. It looks like it's gonna be second page. Is it Crash? It's Crash.
Yeah, I thought for a moment those quick boomerangs actually went through the alien, but it looks like it doesn't matter as Crash is our weakness. As Charlieboy finishes with an official SRL time of 32:56, and it looks like Dagit has decided to forfeit from this race. But folks, get those GGs in chat anyway for both our runners, as they gave us a couple of interesting races here.
Yeah, this gives Charlieboy the victory 2-0 over Dagit. Pretty much just giving Charlieboy all the headway in Group E, while Dagit goes to 1-1 with one more match remaining on his schedule.
Meanwhile, joining us right now is the winner of this setup best of 3 is Charlieboy. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going?
Well, we're doing good. How you doing? Pretty much just sweeping this race. So how you feeling about how the seeds went this evening?
Well, I mean, these seeds, I feel like I performed pretty strong today, honestly. These seeds here didn't give me too much issues. I mean, minus the minor mishaps, say like Wily 4, Spike Screen 3, and then the death in the refights on the first seed, and then the death to Machine in the second seed. You know, I noticed like sometimes when you kill phase 1 and there's like an orb on the screen, that thing will bounce in a weird trajectory. That thing just likes to hit me in the face every time. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so about that Wally 4 in the first seed, I'm kind of want to paint a picture as I display what actually kind of happened, because actually after that death, Daggett was actually literally on your heels. But the unfortunate thing was, just as soon as Daggett was getting ready to use items and go cleanly into the next part of the area, he wound up making a similar mistake that you made. So it was pretty much heartbreaking, because at that point, y'all were pretty much about literally a couple of pixels away from each other.
Nice. Yeah, I knew coming in, Daggett's a really strong competitor. The first year, I ended up being in pools with him, and I beat him that year as well. But the thing with that was he was new, and I guess I was somewhat new as well. But like I was in the lab like almost every day to practice at that point, and I'm sure he probably was as well. But yeah, nowadays, I mean, we're kind of grizzled old veterans and whatnot, so we don't really go to the lab too much to like, see what's the fastest way to do this or that. We kind of already know those things. Now it's just adapting per what is given to us per seed. So I mean, a really good game to Daggett always. Great guy. He's one of our admins here in the Rando community, and awesome stuff. I mean, I hate to see him that he had to forfeit, but I mean, that's just the nature of the game as well. Like, for instance, some things that I find consistent in this game, and I do consistently, other people have other strategies, and they do different things. So, like, some seeds say that Daggett runs on Sundays with us in the community rando race. He'll finish before me, and then other seeds he'll finish like first, and then even other seeds than that, it'll be like, and then I'll forfeit those seeds or something, and then I'll have a hard time on those seeds. So it's really like it comes down to how you handle what's put in front of you at the current time, But yeah, GG's to Daggett nonetheless. A great runner. I expect him to do well in the rest of the group stage. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. I mean, yeah, of course I should. I mean, he's a veteran, He's the homie. He's Daggett. Y'all go give him a follow if you hadn't. Follow our commentators here. Follow everybody. Yada, yada, yada. Great races for me, on the other hand, I suppose. So.
Trying to reach out to Daggett here. You have to get a response. See if he'll come join us for an interview.
Yeah, I tried to DM him, didn't get a response. So right now the offer is still available, but if he doesn't decide to show up, is regardless, still GG's. It was still a very fine effort from Daggett. Just had some unfortunate luck on the first seed, and just some unfortunate robot master routing due to the blank stage names. Finding Crash second is probably one of the worst things you can do in situations such as these, and it just kind of just snowballed from there. But props to Daggett for keeping going as long as he did before he decided to just call it a race. But of course, once again, congratulations, Charlieboy, for your victory, and hopefully you will continue to do good stuff as not only as a tournament racer, but our tourney organizer, of course.
Thanks, Creed. I appreciate it. Thanks, Bull, as well, for commentating. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. This year's tournament is zipless and no hidden stage names, and I know that's what we've been running for maybe the last year as far as the Sunday community randos go, but not necessarily zipless. Just no hidden stage names. Like, if you get Crash early, it's kind of like that can be make or break, like straight up, like, because it'll take you at least probably a minute to get out of that stage if you decide you're not going to attempt it. And if you do attempt it, it's going to be even longer. So I mean, it's kind of a nightmare when you see that. Like, if you get it like the first seed, like, or the first robot master, like, it's instant reset almost every time. It's like, oh, Crash reset. Heat, on the other hand, some people go through it. I try to go through it as well instead of resetting. It depends on the mood, but yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But GG's nonetheless, for sure.
Submarine, do you have any further questions or comments before we sign ourselves out for this randomizer session?
No, I don't think I have anything extra to add going over my notes here, but DJ's either way, Charlie. So
Thank you.
At this point, I believe you're officially moving on. We just gotta wait for the rest of your group to finish out.
Yeah, that's correct. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you'll get to see Dagit as he takes on RSPC. And then, is that the last match in my group? I think it is. Your group is finished completely, Bull. Group B is done. So that's good. Set to advance, Siberian Bull 9 and Krebel Star out of that group. Thank you, Gouda and Bob Debilda, for joining our tournament this year. I believe the only match in Group A is Mega Kyle versus Crab Cakes remaining. Group C and Group D have a little bit of catching up to do. Group C has 3 more matches in group stage, and then Group D has only done 1 match, so they're kind of a little behind, but hopefully they'll get some matches in the schedules.
Yeah, but Group A is pretty much done, as even though it's Crab Cakes and Mega Kyle go, they're set as far as their seeding, with both Tom and Prodigy moving on in that group.
Right. I mean, I don't want to give false hope, but I keep on bringing up the idea of maybe having 3 move out of that group instead of 2. But because the fact that there's 5 people in it compared to all the other groups pretty much have 4. My group also has 5, but we have a no-show and a competitor named Dylan Doss. So if you know Dylan Doss, please, by all means, tell him, hey, we're looking for you. Please come and schedule your matches if you still want to compete in this tournament. That's fine. But just get on the schedule, let us know something. Otherwise, we're going to have to DQ you and move on. So, and I hate to do that, but... So, yeah. Yeah. Cool stuff. I don't guess Dagit's coming.
Yeah, it seems like he just decided to just cool off from his seat. So, once again, GG to Dagit. Good show, good attempt. And we hope to see him tomorrow going against our species. But at this point, I guess this is pretty much it for us. So, on behalf of SpeedGaming 4 in particular, we thank you for joining us in this randomizer race. We hope to see you tomorrow afternoon. We do not have a current scheduling current channel for tomorrow's race. So please stay tuned to the SpeedGaming chain of channels and keep an eye out for that match. But until then, once again, thank you for tracking. Comment. Well, hang on. I got a DM. Want to see something.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. Got the unsung hero of the trackers. That they do get mentioned from time to time, but not nearly enough. So big shout outs to Comedy for tracking the race as well. So yeah, good stuff. And
yeah, just to make it official, Dagit did officially decline to take an interview. So one final time, GG's to Dagit. So we're gonna just go ahead and just close out. So once again, thanks to Comment Sending for being our tracker this evening, and of course to my esteemed colleague Siberian Bull 9 for joining me on this commenting little shindig.
yeah, definitely.
As always, it's been a pleasure.
All right, so for everyone that's in the front lines and behind the scenes, this is LV Creed telling everyone to keep safe out there. Have a good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you may be in this world. Have a good night. Take care.
GG's everyone. Thanks. GG's Dagit. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.